So today we are going to be putting a bow on a chapter that we have talked about in some of our previous episodes. I know if you watched any of the other episodes, it's something that we've talked about that could almost take over the episode because of just how big and groundbreaking it was when it dropped at the time. And of course, I'm talking about the greatest rap beef of the 21st century. So let's take the gloves off and let's go to war.
Let's do it.
It's a legit ass glove.
Yeah, that was back in my Muay Thai days.
Oh,
Doing that shit. But yeah, I would agree with you. I think that this is the greatest rap feud in this century for sure. Maybe not on par with like a Biggie and a Pac, but as far
it's
as
up there.
significance goes, as far as cultural impact goes, this is right up there with it.
Yeah.
I think both artists definitely took some risk in making this happen, and super grateful for the music that we got out of it.
I'll be honest, cultural impact, it might be bigger than the Biggie pie. I might not ever look at light skins the same again after what was done to this poor guy in this rap beef. But yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think from an impactful standpoint, like it was all we talked about in 2024. Not all we talked about, but I mean like that was one fucking hell of a summer slash spring to be alive, right? When there was a new song coming out every other day, you didn't know who was going to drop what, you didn't know what allegations were about to be lobbed and who was going to say what to the other person. But I mean, it was a feud that, in my opinion, transcended like hip hop, transcended uh kind of like where we were at the time, and definitely took both of those artists to a new level and painted them in like a different limelight. Like I'm not gonna lie, as someone who always looked at Kendrick in a certain way, I definitely took away from that feud a different viewpoint of him. I'm not hating on my haters hard enough. Kendrick, thank you for teaching me that. And same for Drake. Like I mean, there were some things that I took away from some of his bars on there where I was just like, this dude's pretty legit. So like I'm ecstatic to be talking about this today.
Yeah, are you of the same mindset that this all started with first person shooter?
To me, it's funny because and I've said this to you before, I feel like first person shooter was like a nice pat on the back. So I don't understand necessarily where if I'm like on Kendrick's team, where I hear a first person shooter and then think like, you know what? Nah, fuck that. I'm going out here to fuck all these motherfuckers up. Like, I'm gonna show them there ain't no such thing as a big three. It's just big me. But I know that like you and I have talked, and you could trace it all the way back to 2013, right? When Kendrick dropped his verse on Control, and pretty much in a nice way told all the rappers back then, like, hey, I view this as me being the top guy. I'm number one. Um, Especially because like there was only one person that really took offense to that, and that was Drake.
Yeah, that was not a good look. They had like a project together, like Poetic Justice.
Poetic Justice. And on
Drake's
Drake's
claim.
album Take Care too, they had something.
Yeah,
Like Buried Alive or something. I can't remember the name of that song. It's a good song too.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I viewed first person shooter was more so like Cole just doing what Cole has always done. Has always like acknowledged those three as like being the big three, which I don't have any issues with. I think Cole has always said that he believes he's number one, even though other people may not believe he's number one.
Yeah.
I think Drake has always let his numbers speak for himself. He's never been like, I'm the top lyricist, I got the best music. I think he's just let his numbers speak for him. Kendrick, on the other hand, has always been that guy who's been like the silent kid in class that you don't want to fuck with.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Kendrick came out on like that and had something to say. Because if he had anything to say, it should have been really towards Cole, like because Cole was the one who addressed it in that song. But I don't know. It felt like Cole gave Kendrick like a little bit of a gut punch, I guess you could call it, like, or maybe that's how Kendrick took it. And Kendrick said,
first person shooter.
Because that was really what kicked it off. Is like first person shooter happened. That one had like its success. I think it debuted at number one. Had you know, what was it, like between 700 and 750 million streams, something like that. It was like
Yeah.
it was a popular song.
Yeah.
He let that song have its moment, and then in the spring of 2024
Yeah.
went to war and like just fucking turned like a page of history that we'll all never forget.
Yeah.
Because like that was, I mean, that song had it all.
It did. It had, I mean, it had everything. It was first off, you got Metro, so you already knew the beat was going to be fucking just crazy, and it was going to be a good song. You got Future, which another good hip hop artist, another great rapper. Good rapper. I don't know that I'd say greatest, but like good. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, but
Watch what you say. Dude, have you seen like the people in the South cannot get enough of Future?
a Future, and that's what I'm saying. Like, he's good. Don't get me wrong, but like, I don't know that like I would have put him if we were talking about rap battle and him going up against one of the like bigger artists like Cole or Kendrick. I think he get bodied, and I stand by that statement. So
Yeah, that's not really his lane though.
yeah, that's not his lane. And so that's where I'm just like, again, good rapper. Uh did Kendrick though have to go as hard on like that as he did? In my
I
opinion,
didn't even feel like he went that hard. I'm gonna just come right out and say it.
really?
I don't think he went that hard on like that. I think all he did was he came out and he said, "Y'all think y'all are a part of something I'm also a part of, but you're not. Like there's levels to it, and I'm just letting you know that I'm levels above what you are, and I'm gonna leave it at that." Now,
Did he not call them bums though? Was the bum like motherfuck your big three, it's just big me, nigga bum?
bro, these motherfuckers not bums. Like they're I mean, I'm not looking at anybody else's pockets or anything like that.
No,
But
yeah.
bum in what sense? Are you saying that they're bum rappers, that they're bum on, when it comes to monetary? Like they're overall, none of those guys are bums.
Fair
So
point.
I don't think that anything that Kendrick said in like that was like, I don't think Cole should have came out with 7 Minute Drill as a response to like that.
Not if he wasn't gonna fully participate. Like me and you have had this conversation. Like I didn't think 7 Minute Drill was bad. I just felt like it was half-assed. Like I looked at 7 Minute Drill as if like I know what you're capable of, and then I see what I'm getting, and what I'm getting isn't your greatest. So to me, if you're not gonna come into like it'd be the same as like if we got into a fist fight, right? Like if you're gonna half-ass a fist fight on my behalf, just stand back and let me get my ass whooped or something, right? Like I don't need you stepping in to just throw a couple of like light swings and shit because motherfuckers are coming in here probably ready to kill. And that's to me, that's the way Kendrick approached this. Kendrick approached this like I'm coming in here to body anybody that has anything to fucking say. I'm coming in here to like literally take heads off. Uh, so get the fuck out the way. And if you don't have anything to contribute, then you probably should just shut the fuck up. That's where for me, I'm like, if you were gonna do 7 Minute Drill, you should have had it 100% your heart in it. And I don't feel like, and Cole kind of says that, right? Like, I didn't want to be a part of this thing. Like, I don't. And so that leads me to believe that when you even went into the studio to make 7 Minute Drill, your heart probably wasn't really in that shit. You didn't believe the shit that you were necessarily saying. So, like, what was the point of making it?
And see, that's what I always tell you is like I felt like the whole track was disingenuous. I think that some of the things that he said about Kendrick and like in his artistry, like his discography, like that it wasn't good.
Yeah.
Cole, terrible take.
Yeah.
The thing is like you didn't have to come out and say anything like that. I don't think what Kendrick said about you in like that even deserved a response. Like you know who you are. You've already gone through probably the revelation of thinking like, oh, society thinks I'm number 3, but I feel like I'm number 1. That's what matters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So nobody. I mean, there's a large percentage of the population who listens to these 3 artists. At the time, I think most people would have put Drake at number 1. Like, nobody's gonna say like Drake is the best lyricist or he's got the best art, like that he can craft a song better than these other 2 guys, but I think commercial success, like, Drake has always been kind of that guy. He's been able to transition into popular culture in a way
Yeah.
that Kendrick and Cole have not been able to.
Yeah.
But probably by design on those 2 guys' parts. That's why I give them their flowers quite a bit because these guys aren't, trying to let everybody know, "I got the money, I got the women, I got the whatever I want." Like, that's Drake's lane.
Yeah.
Kendrick and Cole have always been like, "Imma let my music speak for itself. I'm gonna put this shit out. I'm gonna put out what I feel, what I think that's gonna impact the people that listen to me. Imma put it out there for y'all," which is why they've got cult-like followings, you know?
Yeah.
But
I think you hit the number on the head earlier too, right? Or the nail on the head earlier when you said that Drake kind of has always let his number speak for him. So
mhm.
like I think Drake even understands. Well, maybe. In my opinion, I think Drake understands like bar for bar, you're not a lyricist. Like you're not gonna be able to hang with those two guys. But
Well, dude,
from
did
a
you see,
commercial
like,
success.
was it when he was on Sway or DJ Funk Flex? Have you
Oh, and they
seen
asked him to like spit like on the
Yeah,
spot, right? Yeah.
freestyle, and he had
Yeah.
nothing. That's the thing is, like, there's artists that can do that, and that doesn't
Yeah.
mean that he's not a good artist, you know what I mean? Like, some people have to put pen to paper.
Yeah.
Not everybody's a Wayne and just spit some shit off the top of their head and it sounds good. So, like, as bad of a look as that was for Drake back in the day, it's still not to say that he's, like, not a good artist. Like, you could still put pen to paper, you could still produce a song, and it, is commercially successful. I think he's living proof of that.
To an extent, I would agree, but I think like a motherfucker, like I think that's what separates good from great, right? Is like a motherfucker that can sit in that seat and literally just freestyle from the dome. That's somebody that's going to be a little bit greater than me. That's someone whose lyrics are probably going to hit a little bit harder. Their bars are probably going to be a little crispier. Like,
Well, you would just think that, like, Drake would have come at this feud or this beef, whatever it is that you wanna call it, a little bit more organized. Like, if you were that rapper who has to put pen to
nah,
paper. No, you would think though, like, if you're a Kendrick and you have that ability to just be like, "Dude, I'm the best there is, like, nobody could tell me anything different, and I could do this shit without putting pen to paper. I could just do it off the top of my dome because of just what I know about you. I'm gonna be able to fucking come in here and body you." If you go that route, I would expect you to be a little bit less organized. Like, you're probably more talented, you've probably got the better bars, but you're gonna be less organized because you have that mindset of like, "Oh, I'm better than everybody else." Like, basically, the guy with the talent who's not putting the work in. The problem comes when this motherfucker's got the talent and he puts the work in.
yeah.
Like, this dude, the whole thing felt super organized on his front.
From
Drake
Kendrick's
didn't
standpoint,
f
you mean?
e correct,
Yeah.
yeah. Drake did not feel like he was very organized in this. It was more so like he was like, "Oh, man, I'm a part of something. Like, this is a rap beef? Ooh, and this seems fun."
But I think the reason why I wasn't shocked that Drake didn't come is because you've led on commercial success, right? So to me, if you're a person that it's really more so about the numbers, well, then the critical aspect you don't necessarily care about. So, in my opinion, you can do a tailor made freestyle or push ups and like it doesn't really have bars or anything in there, but like it's still going to reach your audience or your core audience because you've had so much commercial success. Versus Kendrick, on the other hand, has to put out something that is two times as good as Drake in order for it to even be heard. So, in my opinion, I wasn't shocked by how they approached it. I would have just been I probably was more so surprised that Drake didn't know that going in, right?
Mm.
Like that or that Drake's team of people didn't realize that going in, right? Like because I've said this numerous times. If I was advising a guy like Drake, I'd be like, "Hey, I'm just going to be honest with you and I'm probably going to lose my job. I think if we go bar for bar, like, hey, if we fist fight this nigga in the club or something, I think you stand a pretty good chance. He's 5'9", probably you're 6'3". Like, we got some weight on him. I like our odds there. If we're talking about going bar for bar with him, though, like I don't know that that's a fight that we stand to necessarily win. So we're going to need to make up for it in other aspects, right? That's where I think of like, if you're the manager of Drake, you need to be looking at this like you're a fucking basketball coach, right? I've got my star player here, but my star player can only produce so much. So I've got to have the people around him, the fucking ghostwriters, our A&R, our producers, right, for the song. Like, I really need these motherfuckers to be bringing it because if y'all don't, we're going to get bodied. And I'm not saying that he got bodied the whole fucking rap beef. But in my opinion, there's only really like one song that Drake released, in there that can hold up to like a Euphoria, that can hold up to a Meet the Grams, or so like and that's because they were relying on the commercial aspect of Drake. They were thinking, "Oh, it's Aubrey Graham. No matter what, people love him. We're gonna put him out there, blue-eyed, baby-faced, light-skinned dude, and they're gonna flock to him," not realizing that a rap beef is really just the core of the genre, right? So it's really just those of us that literally have grown up with hip hop, that love rap to an extent, that are really gonna be listening. Those girls over in Amsterdam and right? The girls that are packing out the stadiums when you do your world tours, they don't give a shit about any of this. They don't really care about right the stream. So that commercial aspect isn't going to be there in the same sense that it's been for you. So to me, that's where I'm just like Drake's team, and that's where I feel like it's kind of a scapegoat, but I'm just like I don't put so much of the emphasis of Drake's loss on Drake. I put it on the people around him. Just like I put most of Kendrick's win on the emphasis of not just Kendrick, but those that also surrounded him to make sure, like, hey, we're propping him up in the aspect, like the culture's behind him, West Coast hip hop culture is behind him. Like, we're going to show up and show out when it's time to film the videos, this, that, and the other.
Mhm. Yeah, I think you're 100% correct. I think Drake went into this thinking like, I've got the numbers on my side. So even if I put out something that's not as good, it's gonna look better.
Yeah.
And we quickly found out that that was not enough.
So
Because
you didn't like push-ups.
I wasn't the biggest fan of push-ups. I felt like kind of like schoolyard, you know, like if I would have heard that on a schoolyard, like out on the playground at school, if two kids came and they started rapping at each other and some little rap battle, and one guy produced that, and then the other kid was just like fucking putting out some other bullshit. I would have been like, okay, Push Ups is a good song, because it felt like making fun of his height, making fun of his shoe size, making fun of like his there was like, I don't know, there wasn't like, I think you calling it like a forgettable track is a perfect way to describe it, because it's not anything that was like, it was more so like, hey, I'm here, like I'm in the ring with you. It's basically what it felt like, is Drake basically accepting the challenge
Yeah.
that Kendrick sort of put out there for like that, because Drake didn't have to really respond.
He did. Just in the same way, because you said that earlier about Cole. You're like, Cole didn't have to respond. And I'm like, you could say the same thing about Drake. Drake didn't have to say shit. Like, Drake didn't have to say or do anything for that matter.
Yeah, but that goes back to like your statement about his team. His team probably just propped him up and said, "Nah, you got this." Like, bad decision.
Which Kendrick calls out in later songs, right? Like, the
Mhm.
motherfuckers around you don't always have your best interest at heart.
Yeah, at 616 in LA, like he definitely, there's themes of him basically calling out Drake's team for not having his best interest in mind, which I don't know, dude. What hits, that's what's so crazy about this whole beef, is like he attacks every bit of Drake's character
Oh,
in every song. It's like it's you're a bad parent, it's you're a pedophile, it's your team don't love you, it's you don't love yourself. It's literally everything that would attack a man at the core of his
yeah.
existence. Like, it's some cynical shit.
Which is why to me I was like, push-ups is forgettable because you're over here talking about like this dude is short, he's got small feet, stupid shit like that. I'm Michael Jackson, you're a prince. What's a prince to a king? This, that, and the other. And then he comes out and talks about
Which
your
to me is not a bad, I don't wanna cut you off, but to me is not a bad angle. Like, if you're Kendrick and
no.
you're coming out and saying, like, "I'm Prince," like, but to Kendrick, Prince is like a better overall artist than
Yeah.
what MJ was. He represented artistry better
Yeah.
than what MJ did, and that's Kendrick's opinion, and he's entitled to it, and that's a perfectly fine angle to have. I liked Drake's angle of coming in and being like, "Well, if you think you're Prince, like I'm MJ, like MJ's got the awards, like he's got, I'm MJ, you're Prince. Like, what's a Prince to a son? Oh, I'm your daddy." Like,
Yeah.
that's not a bad angle. It's just you didn't take it in the direction that you needed to in order to actually like win over the hearts and minds of fans.
But see, I would argue, I'm like, it wasn't a bad angle. But again, when we talk about the levels, I'm just like, again, you're talking about schoolyard bully shit. And then this guy comes in and literally attacks your identity at its core. Like
Mhm.
you as a man, you're a bad parent, you're inauthentic, you're a cultural appropriate, like all of these things that like I know Drake has heard in the background before. Like that wasn't the first time that motherfucker has had to hear those types of things. And so for somebody to like blast that out on a nationwide level, that was I guess the part of me where I was just like, okay, where's Drake's team telling him like, yo, we got to step this shit up. Like, we need to get some info on this dude because
Well,
even if the shit he's saying isn't true, the way in which he's saying it is making people believe it's true.
but at that level, at that time, like Kendrick still hadn't dropped Euphoria yet. Euphoria
That's
was
true.
like really like the one where it was like Drake
That's
should
very
have
much true.
recognized that and then backed off. Like this was like push ups and tailor made freestyle was more so like him poking at Kendrick, saying like, "Hey, I don't care who you think you are. Like I got the numbers on my side. Like I can drop bars just as hot as what you can. Like and that's what push ups and tailor made was to me is like him basically poking the bear."
Yeah.
And like getting Kendrick to come out. Now, as soon as Kendrick drops Euphoria, you gotta like that's when you gotta make a business decision because it's like I know there were bars within that song that Drake probably heard and was like, "Fuck, dude! Like if he actually opens up this lane of like because there was subliminal messages within Euphoria of him being a predator or a
Yeah.
pedophile. So you know if you're Drake, you got to be like, dude, I got to make a business decision, and I either got to back off this and just be like, you know what, it's over, or I'm gonna ride this thing to the train, till the
Which
wheels fall off.
I'm sorry to like backtrack a little bit, but I feel like we totally skipped over Taylor Made Freestyle. Like, does that song in the midst of this whole battle because it was removed from streamers and you use AI, right? Like that's the other piece to me that it's AI generated. Does that song count? Is it a
It
part of the feud?
it is a part of the feud, but not for the right reasons. I think it showed how disorganized and how desperate Drake was during that time period to like I think he was trying to play like psychological fucking mind games with Kendrick or something, being like, "Oh, your own city don't even ride with you. Like I'm so big that your own city rides with me harder than they ride with you." And it just wasn't a good angle to go from. Like if you actually went and got real West Coast
And that's what I
rappers
was about to say.
and threw them on a track the same
That's
way
what I was
that,
about to say.
Metro and Future got Kendrick on their track, not that Kendrick, well, Future and Metro both had history with Drake too. You know what I mean? They've dropped
Yeah.
projects together too. So, it was a bit of a bold statement that they went and got Kendrick on their track and then they dropped a fucking diss track, uh, you know, uh, a minor diss track towards Drake. But had Drake been able to go that route and actually had the influence that he says he has and pull these West Coast rappers in and then all start talking shit about Kendrick, I think that track would have been actually, a
See,
decent.
this is again where I'm like, who the fuck was on Drake's team? Because in what world did you think that you were going to be able to get any of the West Coast rappers, especially the old school rappers that have essentially on stage passed the torch to this young man, like to Kendrick, right? The Snoops, the Dre's, I would even argue the non-West Coast rappers, right? The Eminems, the Fitties, like the motherfuckers that literally,
Anybody who has been relevant in rap history has all said Kendrick's the guy.
yeah, right. So that's where I'm just like, why did we even think that going to the West Coast and getting an AI version of Tupac was going to be something that was like legit? And it's funny because I compare it to like he had that song with MJ, right? Don't Matter to Me or whatever it's called. And you did that the right way. You literally went to MJ's estate, I'm assuming. You paid for the rights to the song. You interlooped that with a new song. You made something that was cool. And like you're paying homage to an individual. In a rap beef though, you went and got the guy who is essentially like the new Tupac of the new era, or the Tupac of the new era. And I know you can't replace Tupac, so don't come for me too hard, y'all. But like again, Kendrick is the dude of the West Coast. So where did we think, if I'm on Drake's team, that a song like Tailor Made Freestyle was a good idea?
Yeah, I
I
mean,
because I get your point. The concept is cool. And if I would have came to Drake and I'm just like, yo, I got Snoop saying he'll hop on the song. I got fucking, Nipsey saying he'll hop on the song. I got like all these people that are willing to come out and like actually be from the West Coast that are willing to be on this track talking shit about Kendrick. well, then yeah, let's move forward and do that. But if it's like, well, we can't get any of those people, oh, well, let's use AI or let's just like fucking artificially, generate Tupac. Who on the team was like, yeah, that's a good idea in the midst of this battle?
I think it just speaks for the time period. Like, AI is becoming more and more prevalent in everyday society, and I think that it is a little bit of a psychological mind fuck if you're Kendrick Lamar and like you've always idolized a guy like Tupac because he's from, not he's not really from the West Coast, but represented
But
the
yeah,
West Coast. And you've idolized him, and then you've got this guy who you've now got beef with who's coming out and like using Tupac's influence in order to say that you're, not what you think you are, that that you'll never be as big as what Tupac was, or I think that that's not a horrible angle. I just don't like the way that Drake did it. Like, had he gone to Tupac's estate, had Tupac been alive and had like some sort of disagreement about who Kendrick was as an artist, and was like, yeah, Kendrick, like, think about Tupac in 2015, and when Kendrick drops "To Pimp a Butterfly," what would Tupac have said about that album? Probably would have.
yeah, probably would have loved it.
He would have loved it. So the thing is like from Drake's angle, you can't really go that route when I mean, I like to think that Tupac would look at an album like "To Pimp a Butterfly" and revere it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Which I think is what probably would have actually happened. So not a great angle, but it is a part of the rap beef.
yeah. Not a good part of the rap beef, but it's a part of it because again, I'm just like, you have
One
Taylor
page
Made
in a chapter.
Freestyle, and then like Euphoria drops, and to me, I'm like, Euphoria took this from just like another feud slash beef to like, oh shit, y'all are about to go to war. Like whatever gets dropped next is really like some hard hitting shit because again, you're coming at this man for being like inauthentic, for being a piss poor father, for like a multitude of things. And there's no way, like, I mean, there's no way as a man that you're going to sit there and let somebody say some shit like that to you, right? Like, if you're Drake, you have to respond. And you have to respond in kind, right? Like, you can't sit here and do the little schoolyard chants and talk about someone's height and shit. Like, now you brought my wife into it, or you brought my son into it, not my wife, because Drake's not married. Um, Now I'm gonna have to bring the whole fam into it, right? Like, we're going to all out war.
Yeah, and even Euphoria, a lot of shit was said on that song, but it was still felt like, hey, I'm giving you an opportunity. I'm giving you like an out. Like, you can go ahead and you can back off this right now, or I can go deeper.
Yeah,
Like, and but like you said, I mean, Drake can't hear that song and not have something to say about it right afterwards, especially when you're poking the bear for a couple weeks beforehand, trying to
yeah,
get him to drop, and then he does drop, and then he drops something as hard as Euphoria,
yeah,
and then I don't know. There's in Euphoria there was like minor allegations, subliminal messages you can call it, of Drake being like a pedophile. So like
yeah,
if you're Drake and you're Drake's team and you hear something like that, you better make damn sure that there's not going to be any sort of evidence
yeah,
that links you to that. Because we'll get into it in one of the later tracks within this feud where there was an allegation that was made that wasn't necessarily verifiably true, and that was criticized on the song.
yeah,
So if you're Drake and you know that there's like a video of you out there like kissing 17-year-old girls, or you're talking to Millie Bobby Brown when she's how old was she, 12 or
fucking
13,
12.
something, some weird shit. If you've done stuff like that and you hear a song like Euphoria come out, you're like, you guys, you know what, this probably ain't for me. I would rather just, make another album, go on tour again, and fucking forget that this even happened. But he went the other route. He decided, well, I feel like he kind of had to go that route though, of like jumping back into the beef, because Kendrick played this real smart too, because he dropped Meet the Grams, and then right after that he dropped 616 in LA,
Yeah.
which was like
You mean
it was
Euphoria?
timestamp.
He dropped Euphoria And then right after that, he dropped 616 in LA,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, Euphoria and then 616 in LA. But 616 in LA also felt like a different type of song. It didn't go to like streaming services. He like dropped it on like Instagram or something like early as shit in the
That's
morning. Like,
right. That's right.
but it was also like him kind of poking the bear, like him saying, like, hey, motherfucker, you wanted me to respond. Here I am. Like, I'm gonna drop it back to back, and then I'm gonna see what you got to say after that. And then Drake, you know, hears 616 in LA and Euphoria, and then has to drop Family Matters, which in my
Which is
opinion
his best.
is his best track of the disc.
Yeah.
But
Even though and this is the problem that I have with whether it's Family Matters or Meet the Grams, like just some of the claims not being proven to be true. Like, and I get it's a rap beef, but like in Family Matters, he lobbed some shit at Kendrick that we don't know whether it's true or not. Like, I don't believe that Kendrick's baby mama has a kid with Dave Free. Like, that's not been proven to be verifiably true. Just the same way that it's not been proven that Drake has this secret love child that's resulting in a daughter, right? Or that had a secret romance that resulted in a little girl. And so that's where for me, I'm just like, it, you lose me a little bit just with some of those claims. But from an overall like structural standpoint, the songs were good. Like Family Matters, particularly, like I said, Drake's best entry into the whole goddamn thing. Because I mean,
it
it
was
it shows the growth from a song like Push Ups, where we're talking about like again, little schoolyard BS bullshit, um, to calling out Kendrick's whole credibility, right? Like, hey,
mhm.
bro, you beat your wife. Like, is that self defense? Because and making it kind of funny too. I'm not gonna lie. Like when he talks about, do you beat your wife? Is that self defense because she's bigger than you? Like, I laughed a
There,
little
there
bit.
was like there was the humor on that song, but there was also like the you call yourself the Black Messiah, but you got a mixed queen. Like,
Yeah,
there's things where, because there were themes of that in Euphoria too, where Kendrick's
yeah,
like, you get how many features till you finally feel like you're black enough.
black no.
So there was that angle too that Drake went at where I was like, damn, dude, like you're attacking Kendrick for the very thing that he's attacking you for.
Yeah,
So to me that was a good angle to go on Family Matters, but it was also like Drake addressed everybody that was, that was where it was at the
yeah,
one where he dropped the 20v1. Well, he first dropped 20v1 and push-ups
yeah,
because that was like, everybody. I don't know if you remember the time period. I'm sure you do, but like it felt like everybody had some shit to say about Kendrick or Drake right
Drake,
after the
bro.
the like that
Everybody
came
was
out.
getting in on it.
Yeah,
Kanye had some shit to say.
yeah.
Fucking Future had shit to say. Fucking Rick Ross had shit to say. Like
ASAP, like
ASAP had
it
shit to
was
say.
so. It did feel like a 20. I'm sure it felt like a 20v1 on Drake's from Drake's camp. He's probably like, oh man, all these dudes that I've done work for in the past are all now coming at my neck. Like, but an introspective man would probably be like, man, what the fuck did I do to y'all? Like,
Yeah,
he probably knows what he did to each one of them. Like, you don't just come out and say some shit about somebody without having a
yeah,
reason. So I'm sure Drake fucked them over at some point, or at least that's what they felt. But it did probably feel like a 20v1 on Drake's end. But to me, in Family Matters, he comes out and he addresses all of them. He's talking shit about ASAP. He's telling, Metro, shut the fuck up, make some drums.
yeah,
Like there was some bars in Family Matters. And it was like sort of on that same level of Euphoria where there was like what, 3 beat drops
yeah,
where,
yeah.
so throughout that was definitely I think it was the longest song of the
Like
beef too.
7, 8 minutes. Yeah,
Something
it's a
like
long
that.
ass
It
song.
felt like a long song, but I thought that was on Drake's side, that was the most well produced song.
Yeah, easily, easily. I think the only thing for me with Family Matters is I'm like, you kind of take your foot off Kendrick's neck a little bit, like because we start going into talking about everybody else, right? Like there's a good 2 minutes of that song, 3 minutes of that song where we're just shitting on Rick, on ASAP, on right, like, and I get it, but in a few, like, you should have had all of your attention, in my opinion, on that one guy because Kendrick, on the other hand, in 616 in LA, Euphoria, Meet the Gram, like, I ain't bringing up nobody else, right? It's
Mhm.
literally all my focus is on Drake. I'm gonna take all my anger out on Drake, and like we gonna go from here. And in my opinion, That's one of the like, it's small little things, right, that, like, add up to the overall success or win for Kendrick Lamar, in my opinion, right? Like, because he singularly focused on one individual, because he singularly focused on his hatred for that one individual, which we haven't got there yet, but, like, to me is all summarized in Not Like Us. Like, I think he does a great job of, right, like, just reminding everyone of everything. It's like a fucking essay essentially, right? Like, I've
Mhm.
got my intro, I've got the meat and the potatoes of the actual essay, and now I've got my conclusion. I'm gonna wrap it up with this. And
Yeah, I mean, it was also the way that I think that Kendrick went about this. Like I talked about earlier, his organization, "Family Matters" was Drake's best song. Within minutes,
yeah,
this man drops "Meet the
yeah,
Grams"
Meet the Grams.
and
Yeah.
doesn't even give people like. Because I remember the shock value of like, oh, dude, like, oh, we're about to hear Family Matters. Kendrick had already dropped 2 tracks. We got to hear the
Mhm.
response to that with Family Matters before you even finished Family Matters.
Meet the
It
Grams.
was I'm not even joking. I think it was within like 5 to 10
Yeah,
minutes,
it was. It was like 6 minutes or something
something
because there
like
were
that. Like, you
people
didn't
that
even get an opportunity to finish Family Matters when he drops "Meet the Grams," which is just fucking diabolical.
yeah, because there was people reacting on fucking YouTube that were just, like, trying to react to Family Matters, and they're like, "Wait a minute, they're saying Kendrick dropped. They're saying Kendrick dropped." They're
Didn't Academics do like, it wasn't there like a viral video of Academics was like
I think so.
live streaming listening to Family Matters, and then, like, as soon as he, like before he even finishes the song, he's like, "There ain't no fucking way he
Fucking
dropped.
way.
There ain't no fucking way." Like,
Yeah,
and the thing is like,
because
if
he had
you're
already dropped once, right?
yes,
616 in LA had already come out that, like, earlier in the day, then
correct.
Family Matters came out,
Which, good on
then
you,
Meet the
Drake.
Grams.
Good on you to actually have, like, a response, like, immediately to
Yeah.
616 because at that point, after Euphoria, it felt like Kendrick was running away with this
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
like, already, because it was just like, "God damn, dude, this is fucking way harder than anything that Drake has dropped thus far." And then, what was it, like 3 or 4 days later, he drops 616 in LA. It's the timestamp. It's the way that Drake does things, like, and he attacks Drake's team and, like, his character in that song.
Disloyalty.
It's dirty, like, and it's like it was so dirty that he didn't even drop it to like a streaming service or something. He's like, I'm gonna post this shit on Instagram, and then there was also like the picture that there were allegations that was like Drake's luggage or something that
Oh, that's
Kendrick
right.
somehow got a hold of, or somebody on
That's
Kendrick's
right.
team got a hold of it.
Because they had, like, the pill bottles with Drake's name on, like,
And
it said Aubrey
Ozempic,
Graham.
like, yeah, Drake, yeah, it was like Drake's dad's name or something. I don't remember the whole, like, to me, something like that was like sort of irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. Like, it's kind of gangster that you're able to like
Nah, BBL Drizzy, come on now. That was fucking that Ozempic. When I saw bro, that played into
the
it for me at
allegations,
least.
yeah, the allegations of him getting like BBL and shit like that. Like, there's, I think in what was it, Euphoria, where he's like V12, that's a fast one. He's basically
Mhm.
talking to, like, there's like this machine that's like V12 that's able to give you like etching abs on you or
Yeah.
something like that. So like when you look at like Drake, he's got like a chiseled fucking core and like no chest, no like arms, you know what I mean? So it's like you clearly do not like work out the way that you want everybody to believe that you do. You're basically buying that. But good on you, Drake, to be able to drop Family Matters, same day as 616 in LA.
Yeah.
Problem is, this motherfucker Kendrick was already ready for that because he drops "Meet the Grams" within minutes of you dropping that, and doesn't even give your song an opportunity to actually like have the commercial success that it probably should have.
Yeah. Because Family Matters was not a bad song. And to your point, he has some heavy bars in there for quite a few people. So, like, you would have thought that it would have done a little bit better. And I think streaming wise, Meet the Grams had more streams than Family Matters too, right? Because, like, just the shock value from when it came out, like the fact that we were all listening to Family Matters and in a matter of 6 minutes, we're just like, wait a minute, Kendrick's already dropped. So you immediately ran to go listen to Meet the Grams.
Bro, "Meet the Grams" felt like a fucking horror movie,
Yeah.
like The Conjuring or something. Because like this man, the way that he like, it's like letters to Drake's
Yeah.
family. Like that's what it
Well,
felt
and the
like.
mood
This
that he set, it
dude,
made me think of You from To Pimp a Butterfly, how it's
it's
just
so
like
dark.
dark and depressing and fucking like you literally feel like in Meet the Grams, it's just Drake sitting in a fucking like interrogation room, all dark, nobody's there, but it's like an overhead speaker, and he's hearing all this shit come through.
Or not even a speaker, is just like what should be actually going through your mind.
Yeah.
Like if you were as introspective as what you try to claim you are, like all of these things would be going through your mind. And it felt like, you remember that scene in Baby Boy when Ving Rhames comes up behind Jody
Oh
and he puts
yeah.
him in a headlock and he's like, "Oh, call your mama, Jody." That's what it felt like, where Kendrick just put
Mama.
this man in a headlock and was like really like, trying to put him on some game. And like, I don't know, dude. It was just that song is so dark for me, and in my opinion, it's the best diss track out of this entire feud.
Meet the
Because I just
Grams.
think it hits. Not only does it hit Drake where it hurts the most, it hits everybody in his family where it's
Yeah.
going to hit the most too. Because think about Adonis. Adonis, when he's old enough to really understand what all this feud meant, he's gonna listen to that track and be like, "God damn, dude! Like, there is not anything that I could ever say to my dad that is worse than what this is."
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And if you're Drake's mom, who can say anything worse to you than your son? Your son is a product of who you allowed him to become.
Yeah.
Same thing with his dad. And then when the allegations of Drake having this secret daughter, it's not verifiably true, but it's something that I wouldn't put past Drake because it's
Well, of
something that he's
course,
done
given
in the
his history.
past.
Yeah, given his
Exactly.
history.
So, like, whether it actually happened or not, and he actually has a daughter that nobody knows about, to me is irrelevant. I think Kendrick was getting at the core of, this is who you are as a person. I don't put it past you to have a daughter that you don't take care of,
Yeah.
because you already don't do that for your son.
Yeah. Which is goddamn, it's just hard, bro.
Right?
Like it's hard. And what's crazy to me is I'm just like, you think of this, you think of Meet the Grams, and it was the very next day that the Bopper came out.
Yeah.
Not Like Us was released on I think the very next day that Meet the Grams comes out. And that's
Yeah, it
where I'm
was.
like, you look at this feud and you look at the songs or the singles that each person released. And I'm like, Kendrick had a single, and this is where it goes back to like the critical success, in my opinion, versus the commercial success, right? If I'm commercially successful, I'm just believing that I can throw something at the wall and y'all are going to let it stick. If I'm critically successful, I'm having to actually put pen to paper, like you were saying earlier, that, and I'm sticking that shit on the wall myself. Like I'm gonna make it stick for you all, and that's where to me I'm just like, Kendrick gave us Bopper with Not Like Us. He gave you the like dark, depressing, horrible like Meet the Graham song where he's like literally just shitting on this dude the entire time. You look at 616 in LA, that was kind of like to me just another like I'm gonna shit on
Forgettable
you,
track.
but like
That's what
not
I would
shit on
call it.
you hard. And it is kind of forgettable, especially when you hold it up against like Euphoria or Meet the Grams or like that on Kendrick's side, right? Um, but Not Like Us. I remember the first time I heard that shit, I was just like, yeah, this is
It
over.
Not Like Us to me felt like more of like the victory song, because in my
Yes.
opinion, Meet the Grams was the nail in the coffin. I ain't got shit else to say after this. I don't think that Kendrick even had to drop a Not Like Us, but it was nice that he did, because it was like, it said, not only are you commercially successful, I can be commercially successful at your expense.
See, but that's why you have to, because Cannot Like Us is the conclusion. And to me, I'm like, Meet the Grams would have been the nail in the coffin, but that didn't conclude the actual rap beef, right? Because even though you attacked everything in his family, we still never wrapped up the fact that, right, like he's a cultural appropriator, he's a pedophile, he's all of these things that you called him essentially in Euphoria. And like now, I don't know, looking at it from like a writing perspective, totally see why he had to come out with Not Like Us. And I love that song because it calls out Drake in a way that I think many people behind the scenes had always said some things, not everybody, but some people that were just like, yeah, I do feel like this motherfucker just kind of like appropriates black culture, even though he claims to, you know, and it's interesting to me because I'm a black man, right? So I'm not biracial, and I've being with a biracial woman has taught me that biracial people do have their own identity. It's unique on to them, but it is theirs. It's their experience and it's their identity. And I don't want to take that from anyone, but like there's a difference between like a J. Cole type of person who I've never heard J. Cole identify as biracial. I've only heard him talk about being a black man in the same way that I've only heard Barack Obama. Like, while yes, he says I'm biracial, he will tell you I identify as a black man, right? My whole life growing up, I checked African American on that box because multiracial one wasn't a thing and I'm not white, right? Versus Drake is someone, from what I understand, who has always identified as multiracial. He holds up both his Jewish heritage and his Black or African American heritage, right? And for you to be biracial, in my opinion, but not necessarily, and this is probably may sound ignorant for some people, but not biracially black in a sense, right? Where you view yourself as holding or beholden maybe to black culture or black identity. Um, but you're in a genre that was literally created, that is tailored to that, right, is born on the blacks of black bodies, right, like black artists, black rappers, black hip-hop artists that literally brought this genre to the forefront. And so for me, when I heard Not Like Us, and there's the line about, once upon a time all of us was in chains, but homie still doubled down by calling us some slaves, I was just like, this was like chef's kiss to me, just because I was like, it's you acknowledging that a person can be biracial with black, like kind of like undertones, or maybe, but like not truly understanding of the black experience in and of itself. And that's where for me, I was just like, he lost. Like, because while again, I'm not taking anything away from mixed people, I couldn't tell you what mixed culture is. I couldn't tell you anything. I could tell you about white culture. I could tell you about Latino culture. I could tell you about black culture. I couldn't tell you what a mixed culture was. So the moment that like Kendrick made this about race or introduced racial undertones to the argument, I was like, Drake doesn't stand a chance, because immediately Kendrick is going to have that syrup sandwich crime allowance background and group of individuals that are immediately going to be standing with him.
Mhm.
And that's where to me, I was just like, you didn't have to release a Not Like Us, but like of all the songs on the listings that would have hurt me if I was Drake, Not Like Us would have cut pretty deep. Like, because yes, you've talked shit about my family. Yes, you've talked shit about me being, an inauthentic person. Yes, you talk shit about me being a horrible father, all of these things. But then to come at me like for the core, and that's something that I know many biracial people do struggle with is, am I black enough? Am I white enough? Am I this enough? Am I that enough? For Kendrick to come at that motherfucker like that, that was a little uncalled for. And that's where I was like, we're moving from the realm of like, yes, this is a rap beef to like, okay, bro, you're not bullying him, but god damn, like, did you really have to go that hard? Like, just like I said, Drake shouldn't have ever left lit his foot off Kendrick's neck. Kendrick, in my opinion, didn't do that whatsoever. Kendrick kept his foot on the neck, and then when Drake was like, "All right, I tap out," motherfucker pushed down a little bit harder before he released.
Yeah. I'm not mad at that perspective at all. The I think you've already attacked Drake for everything that you could in all the other diss tracks. And the fact that you released a bop that everybody could listen to, that's got radio play, that's commercially successful, had more streams than anything that Drake has put
Yeah,
out in recent years. It covered every diss track that Drake even released, with one song. I think that's probably what digs a little bit deeper than anything else. Because like, as a man, if somebody said that I was like a terrible father, that I had terrible characteristics of a human being, that to me would hit me harder than anything else. Like,
you might, but if it's not true, then, and I guess that's where I think differently, right? I'm like, yeah, that would hit, but like, if I know I'm not a terrible father. I know I'm not a bad like this guy and a guy. So like that shit to me, I'm gonna look at as just like another part of the beef. You talking about shit like childhood traumas that I possibly grew up with, or things that like I've heard since I was a child, because I hear it from biracial people all the time that they don't feel like they fit into this box or that box. Like, and that's where I'm just saying, to me, I think that would like I would be like, fuck, man, like, was that really necessary for you to bring up? Because, like, right, we're talking about families, we're talking about, you know, small characteristics of like who we are as individuals, but you're actually hitting on something that you probably know deep down, not just me, but a whole generation of biracial kids and people are dealing with. Like, that's a little fucked up in my opinion. But like again, in a fight, I've said this multiple times, I don't believe there's a such thing as fair fighting or
Mhm.
dirty fighting. Fighting in general is just dirty. So like if a motherfucker kicks you in the balls in the midst of a fight and like drops you to your knees, no, he didn't drop you by punching you in the face or throwing a fist, but either
He
way, you
won the
still got
fight.
dropped, right? Like,
Mhm. Do you think that that's why Drake had, like, such a weak response in the Heart Part 6? It was like it felt like it was, like, damage control more
that
than
whole
anything
song,
else.
yeah.
Like, it was just, like, reputation rebuild is what it really
Because I
felt
feel
like.
like by that point he knew, like to me, like you hit the nail on the head. Meet the Grams was the final nail in the coffin. Kendrick had already proven, in my opinion, he won by that point. Like because we had only got really what fucking Family Matters from Drake. Every tailor-made freestyle was taken away. Push-ups again was like 616 in LA, kind of an unforgettable song. First person shooter, we can say is the start of this, but first person shooter, he had some bars in there, but none of that shit was directed at Kendrick. It
Mhm.
was all and the big three thing came from J. Cole. So I'm like, you literally only had that one entry in here where you really went at Kendrick, you went hard, you got some licks in there, but then like for Kendrick to come out with "Not Like Us," hell yeah, I'm about to respond to that in the Heart Part 6. And not only am I gonna respond, but, like, now I've got to respond to all of the shit that you've put before me, like, that I have a daughter. I don't have a fucking daughter, my nigga. That I'm a child molester or a pedophile. I'm not a child molester or a pedophile. Like, he there was really nowhere else for him to go, and that's where I'm like, to me, when you talk about an album like Iceman or whatever coming out, why the fuck would we want to reopen any of these rooms? Like, what do we need to say anything about this rap beef? Because it's over now. Many people outside of us are probably forgetting about it because it's again happened 2 years ago and we live in a clickbait society. So people move on from things pretty quickly. But like,
Oh, man, I have to disagree with you there because, like, GNX didn't have a whole lot of conversations or discussions or bars about the beef.
no.
But we all listen to that shit just to listen for, like, hey, what the hell is he gonna say? And anything that we could pull out of it, we were like, oh, dude, that's directed towards Drake. Like the on whacked out murals when he's talking about Snoop Dogg, like
Yeah.
reposting Taylor Made. Like, I was like, oh fuck, dude. And whacked out murals was already like a fucking badass song. So I
Yeah.
was like, dude, this song has Meet the Grams type of fucking vibe to it, where it's like this dude can go deep in on somebody right now, and I would not be surprised. But that's what I think Drake has to come out in Iceman and at least address this because right now, like, and this may sound a little fucked up, but it felt like the Heart Part 6 to me felt like a little boy that was in his room that just got his ass whooped and he's crying all night, like he's crying himself to sleep, and he's like, fuck
That's
you, mom,
exactly what it
like
felt like.
that's you know what I mean. So it wasn't. Is that how you want people to remember this beef, or you got to come back out and you got to say something again, and then hope that Kendrick doesn't have anything else to say to you because
If you could actually win that, and this is where again I go back to Drake's team.
I think that
If
Drake was only
Drake's
1 or 2 decisions away from actually winning this.
if Drake no.
Yes, dude, like, the thing is Family
With
Matters would have
one
hit so much harder had Kendrick not had, Meet the Grams to drop within minutes. Because 616 in LA, a lot of people are like, "Hey, this song is on the same thing as Taylor Made Freestyle. It's not a great song, and I don't think it was intended to be. Maybe it was like a Kendrick putting this out to Drake, saying like, "Hey, like if he would have had Drake's number, he may have just sent that shit via text, like, hey, dog, this is just for you. I'm letting you know that your boys ain't rocking with you the way that you think they are. I think that you need better people around you. What do you and I need to do with that information? You know what I mean? Like it's not it's not the worst thing in the world to tell somebody like, hey, dude, the team that you think you got is not actually riding with you. Like I think society is not going to look at that and be like, dude, that's the hardest bar. But when Kendrick came out and dropped Meet the Grams afterwards, and it was like a fucking like a specific letter of like who I think of
yeah.
Drake to each one of his family members, to Drake's closest confidants, I think that's like we keep calling it the nail in the coffin because that's what it was. But had he not had that Meet the Grams to be able to drop right after Family Matters, I think Family Matters would have stuck a little bit harder, in the beef, and we may have gotten,
But would you say that Family Matters is better than Meet the Grams?
absolutely not.
So no matter what, once Meet the Grams came out, it would have overshadowed Family Matters. So, like,
But I
yes,
think
Family Matters may have gotten its time in the sun, even if it was like 2 or 3 fucking days that Kendrick let it shine.
it didn't. He dropped
No, I know it didn't, but what I'm saying
2 or 3 minutes.
is if Kendrick didn't release it, because your argument was that Family Matters would have shined a little bit more had Kendrick not released Meet the Grams 2 seconds or fucking 6 minutes after Drake released Family Matters. What I'm
But if
saying
it did
is,
get those 2 or 3 days, I think that Drake would have had a little bit more time to respond. With the Heart Part 6 felt like I'm throwing in the towel.
but that's just it, Dom. I'm sorry. That's a part of the rap beef. If you can't sit here and respond in kind within a few minutes, again, I'm looking at it like a fight. If a motherfucker just sits here and swings on you and you can't throw any punch within the matter of time that he's swinging and hitting you in the body or the face, you're losing, in my opinion.
But if Drake would have dropped something like, obviously the Heart Part 6 was not a good response to Not Like Us. Like, I don't think anything would have been a good response to Not
Nope.
Like Us. That was the bop. That was the song that made it out, that made it commercially successful. As soon as Kendrick dropped that, it was going to be over no matter what. But if Kendrick would have dropped Meet the Grams and then Drake waited maybe 2 or 3 days, not came out with something that was like, hey, dude, I'm giving up. If he would have opened up some more wounds on Kendrick's side, like actually done some research, been better organized, I think that you would have saw, it wouldn't have felt like it was Usain Bolt versus fucking Polo Tink Tink. Like, it would have felt like it would have felt like more of like an actual race.
Yeah.
Like, but Kendrick was organized, dude. Like, you dropped 616 in LA early in the morning, and then Drake responds with Family Matters, which is I don't even know if he gave Drake, he probably didn't even listen to Family Matters
Yeah.
before he dropped Meet the Grams. Like, I wonder if he listened I mean, yeah, he had to have listened to some of it, because they
Yeah.
reference each other's songs, on some of these tracks, but I don't know, man. It was definitely a special time. And then to wrap it all up, then Kendrick goes out to the Super Bowl and fucking performs this entire song in front of all of America.
Bruh,
Like,
a week after he had his whole colleagues and peers at the Grammys saying, A minor at the fucking Grammys. So, like, yeah, that's where for me, I'm like, to your point, Meet the Grams was the final nail in the coffin, but Not Like Us was like the actual celebration, the funeral. Like,
oh,
it
dude, they
was
were
the
dancing on his grave.
homegoing
Like,
celebration.
it was fucked up, like
Yeah.
what he did. But
Who do you think won?
oh, dude, it's not even a question that Kendrick won that. But the thing is like, I still stand by the fact that one or two strategic decisions that could have been made in order to attack Kendrick in could have made, could have
There is nothing,
tide.
in my opinion, and I'm so sorry, that Aubrey Graham could have done that would have actually yielded a victory here. And it's because, and I'm not trying to be a dick, I don't think he's capable. He is not a better lyricist. He's not a better writer. He's not and I'm like people forget Kendrick Lamar has a Pulitzer Prize, the first fucking rapper in history to get a writing award, a literary writing award, right? For a rap album. There was no way that Drake was going to stand any bit of a chance, in my opinion, going up against someone like that with the team that he has. Again, I think if Drake had a different team in place that really had his back and had his best interests at heart, he could have stood a better chance, in my opinion. But to say there were one or two small decisions that were made as to why he lost, I have to disagree with, because I'm just like, it wasn't close, in my opinion. Like, Kendrick got his licks in and then came back and curb stomped the shit out of you with Not Like Us, because, like, you only had that one entry from my standpoint, Family Matters, that really stood up against any of his other works.
Yeah, I mean, I could see why you're coming at it from that perspective. I'm sort of coming at it from the perspective that Drake has the backing of a much bigger audience than what Kendrick does. So I'm thinking, even if Kendrick has the better bars, Drake could, eke out the win because he's got the commercial success. Not Like Us proved that he does not have the type of commercial success that he thinks he does. Because I mean, but also none of the songs that Drake dropped felt commercial. Like every one of them did
No.
feel like it was directed towards Kendrick. Kendrick, when he dropped Not Like Us, that really could have been a song about a multitude of people. It didn't have to be about Drake, and it still would have been a bop. It just so happened that Drake was in the crosshair, and you know,
And see, it's so funny because I still stand by. I'm like, I think "Not Like Us" is a song that became commercially successful, but I don't think when they were released, like, I don't believe when he had that track that he thought it was going to do 1 billion streams. I don't think that he thought that they were going to make this big music video and release it on July 4th to call this man a call night. Like, and maybe that's just me not giving Kendrick the credit, but like I feel like "Not Like Us" was one of the one, two, three, four, five, just one of the songs that was locked in the chamber, and they got on it. DJ Mustard was on there, and they were just like, "Yeah, it's a good song. Let's just drop this shit on afterwards, right?" And if Drake had come back with something harder than the Heart Part Six, I don't think this would have been finished. Like I don't think that Kendrick would have let it just die off like that. But because the Heart Part Six, you essentially are just responding to everything that I've said about you, I've won.
Mhm.
And you already know how I feel about this. It was solidified when this all went to court. Like you took a rap beef and went to the United States court system to try and fight, and then a fucking judge had to tell you, like, "Oh no, sweetheart, that's not the way rap beefs work, right? Just because somebody calls you a pedophile doesn't mean you're truly a pedophile, and it doesn't mean that people are going to believe that you're truly a pedophile. You just got your ass beat in the rap beef, and now you're a little upset about it. But there were no such thing as like bots or making the songs bigger and all these tools and resources
But
that you're
and
trying
also,
to
if you're
say that they
Drake, why do you care
utilize."
about that? Because there's allegations that you use bots in order to drive up your numbers.
Drake was the first person I heard about the bots with. Now I've since heard Taylor Swift and beyond and all these other big known pop artists
You
doing
leave
that, but
Taylor out of
like,
this.
yeah, actually Taylor
Well,
doesn't need bots.
that was what
She's
was
got it.
crazy too, is Drake brought Taylor into the beef
Taylor
too.
into it. Yeah, got to
Yeah,
make a
he
song
was,
for the Swifties.
yeah,
When
exactly.
Drake has a commercial running to a Taylor Swift song, like I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
but Kendrick's got a song with her. So the thing is, like, both of y'all, like, have used or have been used in a way that you probably wouldn't, agree with now. But I don't know, man. It was definitely a fun time. I'm glad that we're, sort of closing the chapter on it. I guarantee you that this won't be the
Article.
last time that we talk about it. When Iceman drops, we're probably going to bring it up again because the thing is like if you don't say anything about it, we're going to have something to say. If you do say something about it, we're going to have something to say. But that's
Yeah.
what you've now invited to the culture, the society. You've now opened that door for us to have an opinion on who you are as Drake as it compares to Kendrick Lamar, and that probably wasn't the smartest business
No.
decision.
No, not at all. And that's why to me, I'm just like, again, if I'm on Drake's team, let's move on. Let's talk about something new. Let's talk about fucking bitches getting money, all the shit let's make some feel good music that our people love and like that we can play over in Tokyo and Amsterdam and Canada and Mexico and all of these places because you're a big commercial star. Like you,
Do you think he's going to have the same commercial success that he had
no,
before? It's gonna
no,
drive it
I think
down,
it's
right?
going to take it.
Yeah.
And remember, I said this on one of the other episodes. I don't think Drake is going to see another number one single for a while. Now, I
It's a
probably am
bold
going to be
statement.
wrong, and that's a bold statement, but I think you're going to have people that look at him and they're like, "Do you deserve to have more number one singles than this person?" Probably not. Do you?
Dude, but that's the thing is like that's why I say that streams and records don't actually mean anything. Like because there should be no world in which Drake isn't talked about in the same sense that Michael Jackson is. But Michael Jackson did it in a time period where record sales meant stuff.
And you had to
Even
actually go to the store and buy a record.
exactly,
We
you
didn't
had to
count
go to a store
streams.
and buy a record. How many people are going out and buying? I love buying vinyls, and I'm not the biggest Drake fan. You will not see me with a Drake vinyl because there's not a project that he's put out where I'm like, damn, dude, that's like I gotta have that one.
Yeah.
Maybe Iceman will change my mind. That's the thing is like I'm not above giving somebody credit where credit's due. If he comes out and he drops a badass album, dude, you'll see, you know, Iceman up here on, with all the other greats that in my opinion. I don't I'm not against Drake as a person. I don't necessarily like everything that Kendrick exposed. I'm not necessarily approving of what it is that Drake, how he conducts himself. But the thing is, if you drop a badass album, like, I'm gonna give credit where credit's due, and like,
Yeah.
I think there's people out there that are already expecting Iceman to be, a badass album. The Drake Dick Riders, like, just like when he dropped GNX, like, I was ready to go, like, and
Yeah.
luckily there was some fucking bops on it, like, so. But
We'll see. Because again, if I'm representing Drake and if I'm on his team, I'm like, yo, let's move on. Like, give me Views, give me Scorpion, give me Take Care, give me that Drake, right? But we don't need to be back in a rap beef after. And it's probably because I'm biased because I believe he got bodied. So I'm just like, and I don't like to see that for anybody. Like, I don't want to see some motherfucker's career get completely like ransacked because you got into a few choice words with a wordsmith, somebody that truly is a lyricist. Like, Drake still releases and does good music, and he's got a good team of people around him. All those ghostwriters, all the fucking producers that he gets to work with, like, he makes good music, and that's like, I will always give credit where credit is due. A motherfucker does not become the most streamed artist in the history of streams without there being some sort of talent there. Like, the dude's got the talent, but like, when it comes to battle rapping, I would tell him very quickly, we don't want to mess with certain people, and that dude that's 5'7" from LA or whatever, like, let's just leave him the fuck alone.
but what more do you think that Kendrick could say about Drake?
If I'm on Drake's team, I don't want to find out. That's just it. Like, I don't want to. I wouldn't want to poke. I'd be like, I don't want to poke that fucking bear. What? I don't. I didn't think this motherfucker was gonna sit here thinking
Oh my
making the
god.
world believe that we had a fucking illegitimate daughter that we're not raising, and now all of a sudden, bro, do you remember when fucking Meet the Grams came out? How many of us were googling like
Oh, dude.
Drake's daughter, Drake's fucking illegitimate child, Drake's
Dude,
that,
people
like,
were finding people,
little
little girls that
girls,
looked like
yes, that
Drake.
look like Drake, and we're
And they
just
were
like,
like, this is
this
her.
is her. This is her. We've traced it back 16 fucking years.
I'm not gonna lie, I may
14.
have retweeted some stuff. Like, some of
But
those
that's just it.
pictures were super convincing.
Why would you want that brought back up? Like, what good does that do for Drake, who is going to release Iceman, and it's going to be a bop? That shit's going to go to number 1 on the Billboard 200. It's going to be a big album. As much as I'm saying I don't think he'll have a number 1 single, it's going to be a single on there that goes to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 1. That probably debuts at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100.
I mean, the time frame, it's speculated that he's going to drop it. There's speculation that he might drop it this month.
I was about to say, I thought it was April or May.
So if that's the case, he's getting ramped up for the summer, like, which is what Drake has always really done. Like, if he's not dropping in October, he's dropping in the summer, and there's going to be something that's going to be played on the radio, and it's going to be popular. It is what it is. I wouldn't even try to fight it anymore, but I don't think that he's going to have the same like commercial success that he had before. I think there's going to be some people that are going to be like, it's not as good, or there's Drake's son or Kendrick's son, like, But anything else you want to talk about when it comes to this? I mean, I guess it's, if he comes back out with Iceman, doesn't say anything about it, seems like this book is
closed. Finally.
Yeah, it's done.
But if he says some shit,
I'm here for it, to be honest with you. I'm like, I want him to say some shit. Because it's either going to be Kendrick is too busy and already understands that he won the beef, and it's going to be Drake swinging at, shadow boxing, like, or Kendrick's going to come back out and hit Drake in ways.
I don't see a world where Drake says something and Kendrick just lays down. Like, I don't see a world, or maybe lay down is too strong of a term. I don't see a world where Kendrick doesn't respond. Like, I think if Drake says some shit and it's picked up, like, by various
Kendrick,
outlets,
the only thing that I could really say after Drake says something is like, bro, you want to do this again?
Yeah.
Like, that's really all you got to say. And you just got to remind people of what happened the first time. And nobody wants to, like, have you ever, we've all seen these UFC fights or these boxing matches where somebody, or even, any sport really, but, I'm talking combat sports right now, where somebody gets their ass whooped so bad that you're like, I do not give a fuck to see this again. Like, I I like to see when it's a close fight, where it's a close match, where it's a close game. I like to see the rematch on that. If it's somebody who just gets fucking bodied, like you can keep
Yeah,
that. Like, but time will tell. We'll see.
we shall see.
But all right, guys, thanks for tuning in for another episode. Yeah, we're excited to close the chapter or the book on this one. Yet to be seen, but we'll be waiting for Iceman to drop, and hopefully Kendrick is in a good mood that day. So
Hopefully Drake's team just gives me another club bopper and there's no fucking need to talk shit about anybody.
yeah. All right, we'll see y'all next time. Thanks.